Welcome back, students. So we are back for our basic course in Mathly. This is week 7 and we'll be looking for our first lecture on demonstrative pronouns in Mathly. So let's just go through what we will be doing in this particular lecture. So we'll begin our discussion with what is a demonstrative pronoun. So we'll give the basic definition. Then we'll give the three basic forms of demonstrative pronoun, namely E, O, U in Mathly. Then we'll see how these forms change according to honorificity and verb agreement. We move on and look at a particular conversation which involves grocery shopping, look at some practical uses. Then we go on to look at the proximate and remote forms. And finally, we'll look at the objective forms and how these pronouns change according to case. So what is a demonstrative pronoun? A demonstrative pronoun refers to a person or thing by indicating how near or far it is from the speaker. In Mathly, demonstrative pronouns belong to the third person system and express distance, whether anything is near or far, honorificity, which is basically the respect level given to the subject, and grammatical case, whether it's a subject or non-subject. So let's look at basic nominative forms. So first one is E, which is used for anything which is near to the speaker in a proximate vicinity. So this basically translates to this or he or she in English. Then there's O, which is used to refer to remote honorific objects, and it translates again to that, he or she, something which is far away from the speaker. Final form is U, which is again a remote form, but this is used for non-honorific reference. So this again translates to that, he and she, far away, but this is used in the case where no special respect is given to the referent. So there's a simple rule which we can use to remember this. So E basically means near, O is far, and you have to use O when you respect the referent. But U is also used for far, but you will use it when there is no special respect involved for the referent. So let's try to understand how they are used through some examples. So in this particular example, this boy is saying, "E hamar pita chhatin." So this is my father. "O hamar guru chhatin." Again, that or he is my teacher. So O is used for far, referent which is far away, and honorific. At the same time, for a friend, we can say, "U kate jai chhe." So this translates to where is he going, and this is used when the referent is your friend or someone who deserves no special respect, who you have a very casual relationship with. So now let's look at honorificity in the demonstrative system. So the proximate demonstrative pronoun itself does not change with honorificity. We saw it has only one form. The verb changes to show the level of respect, as we have seen in the earlier lectures. So let's look at few examples. Again, "Ike chhatin." Who is this? This is used for highly honorific. We can tell that by looking at the verb form, chhatin. "Ike chi." Who is this? So this is mid honorific level. This is used for someone who you respect, but who is not very highly respected. And then when you are talking about friends or some other people who deserve no special respect, we use EKH or che in some dialectical variations. So who is this? So all three forms translate to who is this, but you can see the demonstrative remains same, which is E, but the verb form keeps changing. So chhatin, chi and h or che in some dialects. But the remote form has both honorific and non-honorific forms. So let's look at those. So O kate jait chati. So where is he going? So this is used for honorific. This you will use when you are referring to someone whom you honor or respect very much. But U kate jait chhe or U kate jaitach, this we will use when the referent is not anyone particularly respectful. They can be our friends or family members, our juniors. So again, both of these will translate to where is he going, but here we see both the helping verb and the demonstrative pronoun changes. So with honorific reference we will use O, and with non-honorific reference we'll use U, and both of these mean that or he or she, far away. Okay, so let's try to understand this system through this conversation. Okay, so there's a young boy who comes to a shop and says, "Ki I dokan Kari Mandalak chhain?" Is this shop Kari Mandal's? हाँ, ई दुकान कारी मंडलक चेन. Yes, this shop belongs to Kari Mandal. અહીં છે Kari Mandal. Are you Kari Mandal? નહીં, O છતિન Kari Mandal. He refers to a person sitting a little far away. That's why he uses O. And since the person who is referring to is respectable, that's why we have used O. Otherwise, we would have used U, as we will see. So he says, "Nahi, nahi, O छतिन Kari Mandal." No, he is Kari Mandal. Connect बजबियोन ने. Please call him. Kari काका ई अहाँ के ताकी रहल छति. Again, notice the demonstrative pronoun E here, which is referring to the boy who came asking for Kari Kaka, and since he is in the near vicinity or proximate referent, that's why E has been used. So this translates to Uncle Kari, he is looking for you, for he is something nearby to the speaker. Okay, then Kari Kaka comes, conversation goes. Kaka asks, "Ki baat? What is the matter?" The boy says, "Ilias samanak suchi asapta saman diya." Take this list and give me all the items. Again, he is referring to the list as E because it's in his hand, very near to him. "E aksharta Janak Lal Babu ke chhain." This handwriting belongs to Janak Lal Babu. Again, notice the E here, which is used to refer to the handwriting akshar. हाँ, ओ हमर पिता छथिन. Yes, he is my father. So the boy says, referring to Janaklal Babu, who is not present nearby, he is referring to his father, and he says O. So he uses the honorific form for the remote demonstrative. अच्छा, ओ त हमर नियमित गाहक छथिन. ओ स्वस्थ छथि ने? Oh, he is my regular customer. Is he well? Again, he has used O to refer to the boy's father multiple times. हाँ, I ओ मधुबनी गेल छथिन. चौर कौन देब? Yes, today he has gone to Madhubani. Which rice will you give? हमरा लग ई चाउर छै आ एकटा ओ चाउर छै. So he is referring to the two rice bags, as we can see from the image. One is near, one is far. So for the near one, he is using E, and for the far one, he is using O. So for non-human reference like objects, we use again E, O, but O and U are used interchangeably sometimes. Babuji kon chaur lai chatin. Which rice does father take? Kari Kaka says, O chaur, that rice is referring to the far one. A dail kon le chatin. And which pulse does he take? Again notice the honorific form chatin. E dail. Kari Kaka says, this pulse. So the pulse which is nearby. ठीक अछि, all right. Ar kichu ki etbe? Anything else or just this much? Kari Kaka asks. Bas etbe. Muda pai babuji deta. That is all, but father will pay, the boy says. Kono baat nai. O hamar puran gahik chatin. No problem. He is my old customer. So in the conversation again, we noticed that the proximate forms are E and sometimes AE as well. So E is used when the demonstrative is the subject and has nominative case, as we usually say in grammatical terms, and AE is used when the demonstrative is not the subject. Okay, so it can be the object or any other form, which are in grammatical terms called oblique forms. So let's look at the forms with few examples. So these are all the proximate forms. So in Maithili we'll say something like ई हमर पिता छथिन, ई दोकान कारी मंडलक छियनि, ई लिया. These are all the dialogues from the conversation. Okay, but there are few other examples as well which we can use. So ehi is also used for demonstration. So we can use ehi as ehi mein rakhu, keep it in this. So this is again, we can see that the thing which is being referred to is not actually the subject of the sentence. So ehi mein rakhu means we are pointing towards some location. So ehi is pointing towards some location. Then another example is ehi se kaam nahi chalat. This will not work, or only this will not work. So again, this here is the instrumental case. And finally we can see that ehi ke nahi rakhab, I will not keep this one. Okay, and here we can see that it is here ehi is having a accusative case. It is the object of the sentence. Okay, remote forms o and u. So again we discussed that o is used for remote and honorific subjects, and u is used for remote and non-honorific subjects. So we can again take a look at few examples. So o hamar guru chatin, o kate jait chate, u kate jait h, u ki karet h, u ab ayat, he will come now. So these sentences have, and we have mentioned the honorificity here. So notice the use of o and u in different contexts. Human versus non-human reference. So there's a distinction between human and non-human reference in certain examples. So let's take a look. When we are referring to humans, we use e, ek chatin, ek chi, ek h. Okay, but for non-human reference, non-honorific patterns is generally used. So e guy h, since there is no honorific non-honorific difference between the proximate, we can say e guy h. Then we say u kukur chie, that is a dog. We won't usually say o kukur chie, okay, because o carries an honorific marker in itself. So u kukur chie, so it's non-human referent. Then we can also say ehi se kam. So e has a kind of non-honorific referent in which is not very prevalently used, but it's very common. So it's like ehi se kam nahi chalat, this will not do. Okay, so let's move on and look at the objective forms. So when e is the nominative form, as we just saw, so e we will use whenever we are referring to something which is the subject of the sentence. But what happens if we are referring to something which can be used as an object or instrument in a sentence? So e changes its form like many other pronouns. So e can become ehi, ekar, hinka, hinkar. Let's look at an example. Ekar rang neek ach. Its color is good. So ekar here is genitive case, proximate and non-honorific. Okay. Then O again has multiple forms. So O can become hunka, hunkar, okra, okar, okra mein. Okay. So these are all its non-subjective case forms. So we will, if we have to say something like call him, we'll say hunka bajao. Hunka bajao, call him. So here the case is accusative, okay, because him is being referred to and it's the object, and it's remote, one thing you notice, and it's honorific because we are using hunka. Now U also has multiple forms. So since U is generally used for non-honorific forms, it won't have non-subjective forms hunka or hunkar, because hunka and hunkar automatically carry a honorificity. So U will change to okra, okar, okra mein or ohi mein. So if we have to ask something like what is in that, we'll say okra mein ki ach. Okra mein ki ach. So again okra mein here is a locative. We are locating something by maybe our fingers. Okra mein ki ach, and it is remote and non-honorific because it is, in this particular example, it is non-human. So let's look at few more examples because we listed many forms. So let's at least take a look at all the forms. So we can have in Maithili something like ehi main rakhu, rakhu, keep it in this. Again here ehi is locative case because we are locating something, like keep it in this particular thing, and it is non-honorific because it's non-human. Ekar rang neek ach, its color is good. So it is genitive case, so we are talking about the color which belongs to something, so it's a genitive case. Again it's non-honorific. Hunka bajao, call him. We looked at this particular example previously. Hunka naam ki ach, what is his name? So again, as soon as you hear the hunkar demonstrative form, you have to first of all understand that it is something which is remote, then it is something which is human because the honorific form has been used. So what is his name? Hunkar naam ki ach. Okay. Then we listed few forms of U as well. One of them is okra, which can also be used as an as a form for O, but here we see okra diya, give it to him. So here the case is dative because it's going to someone particular, and it's non-honorific because okra has been used, although this is a human referent. Okra mein ki ach. So what is in that? Again okra mein is a locative marker, so this is a locative case, and again this is a non-honorific, non-human form. So these were the few examples. Let's move on. Non-human objective forms. So we looked at the human versus non-human distinction in the subjective forms. So let's do the same for the objective forms. So non-human objective forms use ehi and ohi. Ehi se katu, cut it with this. So ehi is again instrumental and nearby. Ohi se kaj nahi chalat, that thing will not do. So it is something which is far. Okay, and again the case here will be instrumental. Non-honorific object forms use ekra and okra. So non-human objective forms and non-honorific objective forms use ekra and okra. Ekra se mangu, ask him, her for it. Okay, so ekra again is someone who is close by, him, her who is close by. And okra se kaj nahi chalat, that person will not do. So in both these cases, these are non-honorific forms. If we had to use honorific forms, we'll see we have to use hinka and hunka. So hinka bajao, call him, her, and this him, her is first of all nearby, second of all they are respected, whoever they are. And hunka kah diyo, hunka kah diya. Okay, so here again it translates to tell him or her, and this him, her is first of all remote, far away from the speaker, and second of all they are honorific. Now how do we use plural demonstrative? So when we have to refer to more than one people or more than one thing, how will we do that? So let's just understand that by few examples. Okay, when we have to say something like these are my brothers, we will say ई सब हमर भाई छथिन. So first of all notice that ई सब हमर भाई छथिन. So ई we cannot use to distinguish between honorific and non-honorific because e has only one form. But we can distinguish between the honorificity based on the verb form, which is chait or chati, as it is said, pronounced in some dialects. So these are my brothers. So brothers here are respect, maybe elder brothers. That's why honorificity has been used. Then we'll say o sab patna gela. O sab, again e sab, o sab, these are plural markers. Sab, those people went to Patna. So o is remote demonstrative. When you attach sub to it, it is remote plural demonstrative. Okay, and honorific. Then e sab ki kare chhatin or e sab ki kare chhait. So what are they doing? Again, they is e sub, okay, and which is proximate and honorific. Honorificity, again we have to decide from the verb form. O sab khenai khait chhe. O sab khenai khait chhe. They are eating food. Now we have used o here. We can also say u sab khenai khait chhe because the referent is non-honorific. Okay, but usually for human reference we commonly say o. Okay, but we can use u as well. So they are eating food, again they is o sub. So we see either you attach sub or sub, or we can also attach lokni to make the demonstrative plural, like, or we can attach loken to make it plural. So it will be e loken hamar sikshak chhatin. These are our teachers. So again this is highly honorific. O loken kahiya abet chhatin. When are they coming? Again they is o loken and this is highly honorific. So loken is usually used for honorific but mostly for highly honorific reference. Okay, yeah, so in plural context forms such as sub, sub and lokni are used. Okay, so let's summarize what we have learned today. So we saw the nominative has three forms: e, o, u for proximate, remote honorific and remote non-honorific respectively. Then oblique non-human forms is ei, oi, a, oi. Okay, or ehi, ohi, ohi. Oblique human accusative or dative case. Okay, so ekra or hinka, hunka, okra. Okra is non-honorific, hunka is honorific. These are both remote, but ekra and hinka are both nearby. Okay, oblique or genitive case. So ekar, hinkar. So the proximate forms are ekar and hinkar, and the remote honorific form is hunkar. Remote non-honorific form is okar. Again, the proximate forms has two variations. So ekar is usually used for non-honorific reference, and hinkar will be used for honorific reference. Oblique locative case, when we are locating something. Okay, so we'll say ahime or hinka me. When we say something like hinka mein se lolio, something like that. Then the remote form will be hunka me and okra me, again depending on the honorificity. Aime and hinkame also, aime is non-honorific and hinkame is honorific. So we see that the oblique forms vary in terms of honorificity for even proximate demonstratives. And then finally we list the plural forms. So it's for proximates it will be e sub, and for highly honorable it will be elocane. For remote honorific it will be o sub, or for highly honorific it will be o locane, and remote non-honorific will be either o sub or o sub, okay, and in some contexts we can also use u sub. Okay. So that was it. That was lesson 1 in week 7. Thank you.